The first step in project development will be to connect with your nonprofit partner and conduct a site visit. Your site visit forms can be found on page 17 and page 18. You'll be sent your contact information for your nonprofit partners as soon as possible. As a team, you should decide on a time that works best for you and your team members to do a site visit at the project site. You will need to connect with your nonprofit partner to find a time that works best for them. They will be very important when deciding what to do for the specific Be the Change Day projects, as they know what is best for their agency. Make sure you find a time that works best for your team and your nonprofit partner. For some of the projects, there will even be a HOBA staff member who will attend the site visit with you. Attend the site visit prepared to take notes and evaluate the project site and the tasks to be completed. Bring your site visit checklist, your project leadership guide, and if possible, a camera to take before and after photos. Part of the planning process is determining the task involved in completing the project. Consider what you and your nonprofit partner want to accomplish and the tasks needed. Make a task list of all the possible activities that the nonprofit partner needs and prioritize them by importance. It is always better to have a large list of too many tasks with projects that are possible but not of the highest priority than to have too few. Consider the number of volunteers and the level of skill they will have. In this case, it is best to consider volunteers as relatively unskilled when it comes to painting, gardening, or landscaping. Remember that the task you decide must be something that can be reasonably accomplished in about 3 hours and done by volunteers, not skilled laborers. Consider the volunteer skill levels. Is the work appropriate for beginners? Can anyone do it? This should be an important factor when deciding exactly what you will be doing on the day of. Confirm the duration of the project. Is it 9 to 12, 9 to 1, 10 to 12? Most projects will be from 9 to 1. However, if HOBA has already clarified that your project will be a different amount of time, for example, the food bank is from 9 to 12, or Ocean Beach is from 10 to 12, this may take into effect what tasks you can do in the given amount of time. Consider what the volunteer age limit is. What is the age limit for your project? You and your nonprofit partner should decide this right off the bat. There's even a place on page 18 of your site visit checklist to fill in this information. If you've accurately filled in all of your site visit forms and submitted them to HOBA, you should be all set for creating a project. You should also consider the availability of supplies. Will you have enough supplies so that every volunteer has the necessary tools to be occupied throughout the project? You can be sure of this by accurately filling out your tool form. Your tool form can be found by going to your HOBA Voices on the Ning platform and clicking the Resources for Tools. Once you have been redirected to the Be the Change Day website, you'll be able to find the electronic copy of the tool form under Site Visit in the area designated for the site visit. You should also consider the physical space available to perform the work. How large is the service site? How many people can comfortably work there? Is the project site too large for the number of PLs assigned? Do you need to recruit more PLs to manage the project? Is there not enough volunteer project leaders? After you have listed all the possible projects, you should break down each project and specify how many volunteers will be needed and how long it will take to complete it. This will help you determine how the day will go and will prepare you to separate volunteers into task groups to get started right away. Make sure to factor in backup projects. This is super important. It even has its own section on the site visit checklist. Backup projects will be used in case of rain or if volunteers finish other tasks quickly. It is important to have a good number of backup projects so that volunteers always have work to do. There is nothing worse than being a volunteer and feeling useless when you run out of tasks or there's not enough projects prepared. If you remember to prepare, and plan for everything, you'll be all set. When discussing backup projects with your nonprofit partner, make sure to point out that these projects will be your reserve projects and used if needed. After you have prioritized the tasks considered, the number of volunteers, and the amount of time available, you will need to fill out a tool form. The tool form will explain exactly what tools will be needed to complete your tasks. There's a PowerPoint available on the Be the Change Day resources page with all of HOBA's available tools that can This can be found on Ning. Before your site visit, you should familiarize yourself with what tools are available so you will be able to decide which you will need. Talk with your nonprofit partner and discuss what tools they might think are useful. They will probably be experts on this. You should fill out your site visit checklist, page 17 and 18 in your project leader guide during the site visit, and use it as a reference during project development. Make sure to fill out every section, both pages, and a tool form if needed, and submit them to your regional program manager or Tyson at handsonbayarea.org by August 15th. These documents are available in hard copy in your project leader guide or on the Ning platform in the Be the Change Day 2011 group. Next, you will need to create your project description. Your project description will be the best way to recruit volunteers. It should outline exactly what volunteers will be doing on the day of the project and will be an easy way to recruit volunteers for your project. This can be found on page 9. Make sure the project description addresses all of the guidelines in your project leader guide, and also make sure it makes volunteers want to attend your specific project by showing them how needed their involvement is. Right now, there is a temporary project description online. You can use this as a template, but make sure to update the project description you create to reflect the most accurate description of the activities the volunteers will be doing. You have decided this by going to your site visit and submitting your site visit form. You can use generalizations to describe the work, instead of describing each of the specific tasks that needs to be done. If there's a couple of groups of weeding, you can say that volunteers will be weeding, they'll be planting and cleaning and maintaining the grounds. These will work to generalize the work that are doing, but not completely outline the exact specifics. When your project description is done, submit this to your regional program manager by August 15th. Part of ensuring that you have enough volunteers to get the work done is to engage your networks of family, friends, and coworkers to help in our efforts to be the change. Refer to page 8 in your project leadership guide for reference on recruiting volunteers. You should let your family, friends, and coworkers know what you are doing and how they can support you. Start by describing the work that needs to be done and the impact it will have. If you let them know what the work means to you and how important it is, they will want to support you. Who should you reach out to? You should reach out to your friends, family, colleagues, community groups, anyone you think might be interested in joining your cause and being involved in Be the Change Day. How should you do this? You should do this through the personal ask, Facebook, Twitter, email. The personal ask works best. When people know how important something is to you, they will want to support you. Reach out to as many people as you can and personally ask them to join you. Social networking makes this even simpler. Use Facebook and Twitter as a way to engage your online network and spread the word about what you are doing. Repost HOBA's links onto your own Facebook page and update your news feed with the progress of your project development. Get your social network as engaged in the steps you are taking to plan an amazing Be the Change Day project as you are. Keeping them involved all the way can get them hooked right from the start. Use the Facebook application to engage your friends in fundraising. You can set up a campaign to raise pledges and donations for your service and post links to why HOBA and Be the Change Day are important to you and your community. If you aren't into tweets and news feeds, send out emails and make phone calls to your friends to come out, get involved, and support you in your effort to be the change. What happens if volunteer recruitment isn't going well? This slide shows some possible places to reach out to more volunteers. Be creative. You can reach out to different community groups that you know often volunteer, like school clubs, sororities and fraternities, church groups, Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, if your project is age appropriate, or anyone who tends to volunteer as a group. Post volunteer needed ads on different websites, such as volunteermatch.org, idealist.org, serve.gov, in newspapers or on community bulletin boards. Refer them to Hands on Bay Area to create an account and become a Be the Change Day volunteer. If volunteer recruitment isn't doing well, reach out to HOBA and tell us what you have been doing and where you are having difficulties. Post your questions and concerns on the Ning page and see if other PLs have some suggestions. Everyone is going through the same thing, and there might be other project leaders who can give you some support. Engage your support community and you will always receive an answer. Everyone is here to help and we want to make this as successful a Be the Change Day as we possibly can. An important part of project development will be to secure the in-kind donations. This will be the responsibility of the team foodie. HOBA has already taken care of pastry donations from Hobie, Panera's, and Bake Sale Betty, but your team will have to pick up these donations on Be the Change Day. Besides that, the team foodie will be responsible for securing in-kind donations of coffee and tea. The first step for securing these donations will be to call the coffee shop and ask for the name of the person in charge of making donations. You should approach the vendor at least 1 month in advance of the project. Many stores allocate how much coffee they will donate right at the beginning of the month, so you want to be first in line for the coffee donations. Reach out to a couple of locations and/or different vendors at the same time. This will increase your chances of finding a location that's available to give you donations. You should share your Be the Change Day elevator pitch and what you will need for the day, likely cups, napkins, coffee, and tea. You may be able to use ground coffee if your site has a coffee maker for volunteers. Find out what paperwork you need to complete to get a donation. On HOBA Voices, there is a template with our EIN number on the letterhead. Use this when the vendor needs it. Follow the donor's directions, including the short written letter with HOBA's tax ID number. Once you've gotten the coffee, be sure to follow up the week before your project starts to ensure they remember you and will have the correct amount of stuff you need ready to go. Think about the number of volunteers attending and the number of coffee you will need. Assign a project leader team member to pick up the coffee, tea, and pastries on the day of the project. You may be able to split this up between 2 members as there might be 2 locations you'll need to go to. Complete an in-kind donation record form so we can send the company a thank you letter. Also, it's on HOBA's Voices. As a HOBA project leader, you will take on the role of public speaker at the kickoff and closing. As the public speaker, you will be responsible for presenting your volunteers with your elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is used to engage the volunteers in the work you are doing and to make them passionate about what you are achieving. A great pitch explains 4 things. It explains a problem or need, it offers a solution, adds a personal appeal to inspire further action, and is succinct and clear to the point. You will give your elevator pitch throughout the entire Be the Change Day process. You will use it on the day of, during project kickoff and closing, when you are recruiting your friends to join you in your cause, and when you are approaching vendors for in-kind donations. It is important to have an elevator pitch that is meaningful to you. The more you are able to relate to it, the better you will be able to use it to explain what you need and to offer what you are doing through Be the Change Day. Because of this, it is really important that you have a well-polished elevator speech. Use the guidelines on page 6 of your project leader guide to develop a stellar pitch. Since this year, Be the Change Day falls into our season of service, from remembrance to change, we would like to kick off and close each project with a similar theme. In your packet and on the Be the Change Day resources page on the name HOBA Voices, you will find the 9/11 commemoration tribute. We would like each Be the Change Day project leader to begin your project with this wording. Find a way that best works to incorporate this reflection into your kickoff and closing. The reason for the kickoff reflection at the beginning is to have volunteers think about who they are dedicating their service to and why this is needed. Volunteers will think about this during their work and come together at the end of the event to share what they have reflected on. All volunteers signing up for a season of service project, including Be the Change Day, are aware that this project is part of our season of service and 9/11 Day of Remembrance and Change. Be the Change Day falls under Season of Service, and volunteers will receive an automatic email explaining that through Season of Service, we are dedicating all projects to the 9/11 anniversary to veterans and first responders. Project leaders will be responsible for reciting the required reflection piece found on HOBA Voices under PL Resources. As a PL, you can simply read the beginning reflection when you kick off the project. You will not be responsible for memorizing it. All Season of Service PLs, including calendar project leaders, will need to recite this kickoff and incorporate some sort of reflection into their projects at the end of each project. In your closing reflection at the end of the projects, you should thank all participants for coming and participating in this service tribute today, and you should ask for all to observe a moment of silence to reflect on all of those who lost their lives on 9/11. Then you'll have an opportunity to ask each of you what the impact of the day had on your lives. For projects that are larger, this may just represent a moment of silence, 10 to 15 seconds of silence, and inviting any participants to speak. For projects that are smaller, you may want to create a circle and get everyone who is interested in sharing their thoughts to have a moment to talk about what they would like to express and to show how Be the Change Day impacts their lives. Communication will be an important aspect of your Be the Change Day project development. Throughout the entire project, make sure that everyone on the team knows what each person is doing and that each person has a defined role, tasks to accomplish, and deadlines to meet. Refer back to the timeline for deadlines and each step-by-step decision. Communicate via email once you've completed a task, and CC each other on emails sent to your nonprofit partner and HOBA. The more info shared, the better. Keep communication channels open between team members, your nonprofit partner, and HOBA, so that if something comes up, you're easily able to adapt and remedy the situation. Make sure to update your regional program manager of any issues that may arise, and contact Tyson, the Be the Change Day coordinator, with any specific questions.